Welcome back to Decked Out.
On today's episode, we're joined by first-time guest Jim Davis, and each player has brought to the table a deck that fits their personal brand.
As always, thank you to our sponsors, Coolstuffinc, Ultimate Guard, Moxfield, and today's feature sponsor, the Magali Villeneuve collection, and more on them later in the video.
That's enough from us. Let's go ahead and meet the players.
Hi, my name is Jim Davis, full-time content creator and professional Magic player, and I'm playing Muxus Goblin Grandee today, of course. I love my goblins in all formats, and Muxus is the perfect commander for me because it's going to come down, hopefully early if possible, and put a bunch of goblins in play and kind of get things going. I like commander games to end. I want to see players attacking, things dying, and Muxus is really, really good at that, so let's roll the dice and see how it goes.
I'm MTGNerdGirl, and today for my on-brand game, I'm playing Amalia Benavides Aguirre. And this was voted on by our community members in our Discord for my on-brand theme. You guys know I like Orzhov and I love value. So I'm going to be able to gain a bunch of life, which is also one of my favorite deck types, to do some crazy things. Drain my opponents out, put cards back onto the battlefield, give myself protection, and just loop some really crazy shenanigans.
I'm Airball, and my brand today is Complexity. We're going to be taking game actions for their own sake with Saruman of many colors. He's actually just Esper, and no one really knows what his abilities do, but I'm going to be trying to cast multiple spells on my turn and everyone else's turn for value that I'll figure out at the time.
I'm Veggiewagonyee, and apparently, according to all of you, my brand is bad cards, and I've never felt more seen in my life. Today, I'm going to be playing Joe Grant, and the 12th Doctor is also in the command zone because I need blue and red. This is one of my favorite decks I've ever built, because it's full of hot garbage, but if I can play new perspectives, I can cycle through my entire deck over and over and over and over again, and somehow that turns into a win, I promise. Today's feature sponsor is the Kickstarter for the Magali Villeneuve collection, and this is your opportunity to directly support one of Magic's fan favorite artists.
This collection features 5 pieces of iconic Magic the Gathering art. The artist has even extended that art to print them on stitched edge playmats and premium prints. They will be stamped and serialized for this Kickstarter, never to be printed in this way again. And through the life of this Kickstarter, we can unlock new arts and playmat sizes as we unlock those bonus stretch goals.
2-player mats, double-sided mats, full table length mats, and even the Dominar United stained glass basic land artwork on playmats.
Now, this Kickstarter is only going through March 21st, so make sure you use the link in our description, and we have one pinned in the comments so you guys could check these mats out for yourself, back this Kickstarter, and reserve your mat today.
Well, I think we should back this game and get over to it. I thought you were kicking into the game.
I was!
All right, let's roll to see who goes first.
13.
12.
Also 13.
Lucky.
12?
13.
Damn it.
Lucky again.
What?
Lucky
Okay.
13s.
Okay. Their game is broken. We have to start over.
Right, I was going to say we have to end the show. When do you ever win the die roll?
Well, you know what? I don't think you win the die roll this time, even though you win the die roll, because I have a pre-game action.
What?
Does anyone else have a pre-game action on this side of the table?
Let me check.
No? Well, I am going to put this Ley Line of Anticipation into play. It is an enchantment that if it's in your opening hand, you can start the game with it on the battlefield, and I can cast my spells as though they had flash.
Are ley lines commonly played in Commander? Is that like a thing?
No.
Okay. Just get 100 cards, opening hand, just, as a somewhat non-native to the format. Just one, it's...
Yeah, this is in here because it's good when you cast it, but yeah, this is the first time ever we've...
This just means he's starting on a mulligan. It's fine.
Right, we gotta... Yeah.
I like that. I agree.
And he's number 1 target.
Nice 6-card hand.
All right. I'm first then. First time ever. Let's draw. I'm going to play a Plains, and I do have a turn 1 play. It's not a Soul Ring, but we're going to play a Soul's Attendant. A 1/1 that says whenever another creature enters the battlefield, I get to gain a life. I'll pass to Veggie.
I'm going to play this Teleria. It's a legendary land that taps for blue, and I can also tap it to, during upkeep, remove the banding or bands with other ability from target creature until end of turn.
What?
Look, I had to find all legendary or artifact lands for this deck for it to function. So you get to this kind of thing.
A lot of words for an island.
Yep. I will play this equal in quality card, Jeweled Lotus. I can sack it to add 3 mana for my commander, which I will do. I'm going to play a turn 1 Joe Grant. 3/2. Each historic card in your hand has cycling for 2 and a white. Whenever I cycle a card, I put a +1 counter on Joe, and is also a Doctor's Companion, and we will never see that doctor because I don't care.
I'm going to gain a life.
Pass the turn.
I never thought I'd say this, but I think I might be on the Muxus players team.
I mean, yeah, that's going to gain a lot of life for sure.
Wait, whoa. I would never say that I would be on the Goblin players team. Me, Nerd Girl, I would never play on the Goblin players team.
I would be the Goblin player, but I think I would also want to kill it with fire if it's only...
We'll see. I mean, these starts are pretty good.
Well, it can't get any worse than this.
I want to play this at flash speed, but I don't want to let it get to Veggie's end step, so I'm just going to tap out on my turn anyway, even though I don't have to. I'm going to bolt in this Seagate Restoration, which will be Seagate Reborn. It's a lot of words for an island. And we're just going to do this main phase. We're going to pay 1 for a Soul Ring. And then we're going to pay 2 for a Talisman of Progress. And I think that's all I can do for this turn. I'll pass.
Just that.
This is an average commander game, or is this
We did juice it just a little bit for you.
Yeah, that we were playing against the Jim Davis. We had
appreciate that. All right. I'm gonna play no fancy land here, just a white bordered mountain. How good is on this board? That 1 Goblin Lackey, please. So 1/1 Goblin. Whenever it hits a player, I get to put a Goblin into play from my hand for free. Unfortunately, not the command zone, which would be nice. But and I think that's it.
I'm going to start with an Isolated Chapel, and I could play my commander and get that ball rolling. But I think first I want to tap 2 for a Charismatic Conqueror. It's a 2/2 with Vigilance that says whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, they can tap that permanent. If they don't, I get a 1/1 life-linking vampire. And I'll gain a life with my Soul's Attendant as well. And I'm not going to leave this on the table. Airball, take 1.
I appreciate that. Just so you know, I watch too many commander games. People just kind of sit back and never attack.
Right.
Just attack someone. Let's get this game going. You know?
I have earned it. I think.
That's also true, I guess. But
Swords.
I'm here to make enemies.
I've taken the 1.
Pass.
At the end of your turn, I'm going to tap this Teleria, which is a land that I have, to cycle Boon of the Wishgiver for 1, and that will put a counter onto Joe. I'll play a Ragran Triumph, and then go to combat, I guess. Airball, that's 4 coming your way.
That is commander, right?
That is commander. Let's make it 5. I will tap this Teleria, which is a land I have, to cycle Windcaller Aven, Commander All-Star. It'll give this flying and another counter.
Sure.
And pass.
All right. I'll play a Flooded Strand and pass.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to do anything on your turn.
I'm not going to lie. When I kept my hand, my Goblin Lackey, I figured the board to be a little more clear here on turn 2. There's a lot of things happening. I'm going to move to combat, and Goblin Lackey is going to attack you for 1 damage, Veggie.
I'll take 1 damage, Veggie.
All right, trigger. And we're going to put in Beetleback Chief. This is a 2/2 Goblin for 4. EDB make 2 1/1 Goblin tokens. Whoop. Very good looking Goblin tokens. And then we'll play a Dwarven Ruins tapped. This is a land that taps for a red or sacks tap for 2 red.
I'm going to pause you for a quick second. You have some things to decide before you continue. I'm going to gain 3 life for 3 creatures coming into the battlefield. Also, right. Would you like them to all come into play tapped, or would you like me to have vampires?
Tapped it is.
Drat.
All right, and then I'll play a Skull Clamp. That's my last card for turn.
In response to the Skull Clamp,
okay, on the stack,
I'm going to flash in a Ledger Shredder. Ledger Shredder is a 1/3 flyer. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder will connive.
All right, so Clamp's good, and I'll pass.
Would you like your Clamp to come into play tapped, or would you like me to have a vampire?
And the Ledger Shredder.
Shredder too, yeah.
I will have the Ledger Shredder come in tapped.
I will gain an extra life for the Ledger Shredder.
All right, that's it for me. I'll pass.
Charismatic Conqueror is putting in work. This is the second time I've played it, and it's always been a game changer. Man, nobody wants their stuff to come into play untapped. Are you sure? All right, I'm going to start with a Swamp for the turn. I'm going to start with my commander, Amalia. She's a 2/2 with ward pay 3 life. Also, whenever I gain life, She explores, and then I can destroy all other creatures if her power is exactly 20. When she comes into play, I will get to gain a life from the Soul Attendant, which means I will get to explore. It is a Rogue's Passage, so she won't get a counter, but it will go to my hand. It's a little unfortunate that I'm revealing this Rogue's Passage with my Explore, but hopefully if I wait long enough, everybody will forget about it. Then I'm going to go ahead and play Allseed of Life's Bounty. It's a 1/1 with a life link. I can also sacrifice it to give a creature protection. I'll gain another life from the Soul's Attendant.
Before you do, though, Ledger Shredder is going to trigger. I'll connive because that's your second spell this turn. I'm going to discard this Baral and grow the Shredder.
All right. The Allseed will resolve. I'll get a life and get to explore one more time with Amalia. And it's another land. How convenient. You have only colorless mana untapped? Oh, no, you...
I have a Flooded Strand.
Oh, rude. Okay, Veggie. Take 3. This has Vigilance. Take 3, Veggie.
Yeah, I'll take 3.
And that'll do it. Pass.
All right, so to be clear, I don't want to play more than one spell. I don't want to play creatures, and I don't want to play artifacts if I want them to play to come into play untapped.
I mean, you can. I just get a vampire. It's not that bad.
Yeah, and a life, and an explorer. I'm going to play Agandra Seed of the Empire as my land for turn. I will tap 2 for an Arcane Signet, but it is going to come into play tapped. I don't love it, but I'll give you a Ledger Shredder trigger. I'm going to pay 1 for Skrelv. 1/1 Phyrexian Might, Toxic 1, can't block, and I can pay a Phyrexian white mana and tap it to choose a color. Another target creature I control gets Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color until end of turn, and it can't be blocked by creatures of that color. Just a little guy that's going to come into play tapped.
The Ledger Shredder trigger is going to happen. With that on the stack, I'm going to crack the Flooded Strand. I will shock in this Watery Grave. And that will connive. So the deck thinning paid off. I'm going to discard this Case of Koilos and not grow the Shredder.
Cool. Time to attack. I think with this setup, I'm more afraid of NerdGirl, so I will swing 5-4 at you, NerdGirl.
No blocks.
Ah! Pass turn.
On your end step, we will pay 3 to flash in As Foretold. It's an enchantment with, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on it. Once each turn, you can pay 0 rather than the mana cost for a spell you cast with mana value X or less, where X is the number of time counters on As Foretold.
This is dirty.
Yep. It sure is. I only get to add a counter to As Foretold on my upkeep, but I get to cast a spell for free every single turn. And with Leyline of Anticipation in play, that could be literally any spell in my hand. Upkeep, we're going to put a counter on it.
It's a real thematic thing. You're As Foretold, anticipation. It's really building up, you know?
I'm going to play this Polluted Delta. And pass.
All right, we're going to start out by tapping 2 for a Mind Stone. And I'm going to give you a creature.
Nice.
Nerd Girl.
Thanks.
I need the mana.
And because of the vampire, I will get an extra life and get to explore with Amalia. It will be an enchantment, which we'll keep on top.
Yeah.
That's a relevant enchantment.
It is a really relevant enchantment, and Amalia will get a counter.
All right, so then I'm going to use my Mind Stone mana, and we're going to put the Skull Clamp onto myself, which is, I guess kind of fatal. So I'm dead, and I will draw 2 cards.
You thought too hard.
I will play a Strip Mine. And then I think I'm going to go clamping again here. I got to clamp myself again.
Here I go clamping again.
And now it's Lackey time. So we're going to send Goblin Lackey, the only safe place it can go, which is you, Veggie. So you're going to be my Lackey buddy here.
Yeah, I'm here to enable.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to put in a Spark Smith. This is a 2 mana, a Goblin. If anyone here has ever drafted Onslaught before, this is a big deal. 2 mana for a 1 Goblin. I can tap this to deal X damage to target creature and X damage to myself, where X is the total number of all goblins in play.
Would you like it to come into play tapped?
Yes, I would.
I'll gain a life anyway.
Okay.
And I will explore with Amalia and get a counter.
No, only 16 more explorers and all our stuff dies.
And that is it for me, and I'll pass.
Also, I respect the strip mine.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta
Sometimes you
kill
just
some
gotta.
lands, just get out of here. I'm playing mono, but I got room for some colorless lands.
All right.
People get touchy about that in
Right.
Commander. Like destroying a land, it's like, oh no.
It's a land.
You interacted with a permanent.
I don't play a lot of Commander, but when I do, I come to make a mess. I'm here to attack people and destroy stuff and
strip.
get the game going. Yeah, apparently strip a little bit too.
Yeah.
So
Let's start with a Castle Ardenvale. It taps for a white, and I can also pay 4 and tap it to create a 1/1 white human creature token. And we'll start by getting a little insurance on the board. We're going to play Elenda's Hierophant. It's a vampire cleric with flying. It's a 1/1 that says whenever I gain life, I get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. And then when it dies, I can create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink where it is Elenda's power. When she comes into play, I will get a life gain trigger from the attendant, which will trigger Amalia and the Elenda right out of the gate. So let's go ahead and explore. It's a land. We'll put that into hand. And I get an extra counter onto the Elenda. I don't want to leave the Goblin player alone too long, but I don't want Veggie to retaliate against me either. Okay. We're going to go Owlseed and Vampire to Veggie, and we're going to go Amalia to Jim.
I'll take 4. No problem.
All right, that'll be 4 Commander.
And I'll take 2.
You'll take 2. I will gain 2, which will also trigger Elenda twice, and I'll get to explore twice. The first explore will be a Fracture, and, I'm going to leave that on top.
Yeah.
So Amalia will get 1 and then an additional trigger for the second explore. And I think I'll just keep this Owlseed mana up, and we'll pass the turn.
All right. I think the best I can do is keep up the commander damage on NerdGirl. So I'm going to go to combat. I'll swing Joe Grant at you, NerdGirl, and I will activate Skrelv. I'll pay 2 to give it Skrelv for white.
Means I can't block it.
Right.
And a poison counter.
And a poison counter.
Oh.
Get poisoned.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, the secret cycling poison deck.
Yes. Now it's all coming together.
Poison makes its return to decked out after we
cool.
swore never again.
All right, Veggie, I have a poison counter.
And I have no other game actions. I'll pass the turn.
I'm gonna crack the polluted delta on your end step.
We don't need to hit Airball. Airball will kill himself.
I'm gonna put this swamp into play off the polluted delta.
No Shockland?
No shockland.
Very off-brand.
I know, but I will have to pain myself here off the talisman down to 26, and we're going to play Saruman of Many Colors. The commander is here. It's a 5/4 for 6 with ward. If you want to target him, you have to discard an enchantment, instant, or sorcery card. Then, whenever I cast my second spell each turn, each opponent mills 2 cards. When 1 or more cards are milled this way, exile target enchantment, instant, or sorcery card with equal or less a mana value than that spell from an opponent's graveyard. Copy it. You can cast it without paying its mana cost.
I'll gain a life and also 1 counter onto Amalia and 1 onto Elenda.
I think flashbacks to my set review with this card, where I remember finishing reading it, and being like, I didn't process any of that. I spaced out. I spaced out while you're reading it again. But we'll figure it out. When we get there, we get there. I have a general idea what it does. So
We know we have to take it out before it does anything. That way we don't have to learn how the card
that's
works.
a really good idea. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Upkeep, as foretold, will trigger. We'll tick it up to 2. I'll play a Plains and pass.
At the end of your turn, there are so many problems here, but I only have bad answers to them. So I think I'm going to pay 3, and I'm going to cast Forsake the Worldly, good old 3 mana exile target artifact or enchantment, and I'm going to try and get that out of here.
Okay.
Commander staple, I assume.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my
Forsake
God.
the world.
Actually, I feel like I've forsaken my brand here. That's the first bad card that's hit the board for me, I think. It's Teleria. Never mind. I'm fine.
Teleria's fine. All right. Teleria's a cool card,
And that's the end of your turn?
That's the end of my turn. Having Veggie destroy as foretold is kind of sad, but I actually don't really care because I have no cards in my hand to play with it anyway. It's kind of how the card works.
We're going to start things off. I'm going to tap this Mind Stone and cast a Mana Vault.
Would you like it to come into play tapped?
I would not. You can have your creature.
So I'll get a vampire, which will also gain me a life, trigger Amalia and Alenda.
That's a lot of stuff. Sorry to the table, but I want to do my things too. And I think it's Muxus time. I'm going to cast my commander, which is Muxus Goblin Grandee. This is a 6-mana goblin 4/4. When it ETBs, I'll reveal top 6 cards in my library, and any goblin that costs 5 or less will go into play for free, and then it gets larger when it attacks the number of goblins that I have. I will put that on a stack, and then look around the table. And
well, Legislator's going to connive, because that's the second spell for the turn.
Fair.
I'm going to get so many triggers.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I'm going to discard this Talisman of Hierarchy. Legislator will grow, and Muxus away, my friend.
All right, so we got our first Muxus, which is a good place to be. So top 6 cards, here we go. First ball up is a Treasure Nabber. Second ball up is a Castle Ember. That's a no-go. Third ball up, Flamekin Village. All right. Goblin Instigator's our 4th card. 5th card, Goblin Tinkerer. That's a fun one. And 6th card is a Herald's Horn. So we got the old 50-50 here. And these cards will go to the bottom. And then these 3 cards will enter the battlefield. So in order, we've got Treasure Nabber, which is whenever an opponent taps an artifact for mana, I gain control of it until the end of my next turn. We get Goblin Instigator, which comes with a buddy, a 1/1 token. And then Goblin Tinkerer, 2 mana 1/2. I pay a red and tap it to destroy target artifact. That artifact deals damage back to the Tinkerer for its mana value.
Would you like all of those to come into play tapped?
Yeah, these are all going to come in tapped, so no creatures for you.
But it will be 5 creatures, which will be 5 points of life off of the Soul's Attendant. So I'll go up to 50, and I will get an additional 5 counters on Malia and 5 counters on Alenda.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. All right, so now I guess I'm going to go to combat. Veggie,
Hey.
my usual benefactor.
Bring it.
Goblin just loves hanging out with you. He just likes chilling.
I'll pay 1 life to have a good time.
All right, so Goblin will trigger. I'm going to put in a Goblin onto the battlefield. I'm going to put into play a Changeling Berserker. This is a 4-mana Changeling. This means it's every creature type. It's a 5/3 haste. When it enters the battlefield, you champion a creature. This means that it comes into play. I sacrifice it, also I remove another creature I control from the game. When this leaves play, that card comes back. And it's going to champion the Muxus.
Yeah.
So Muxus goes like that. Amalia is now on 12. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, all right. I'll pass turn.
Well, on your end step, before NerdGirl gets to untap and draw that Fracture, I'm going to flash in this Bloodchief Ascension. It's a 1-mana enchantment. Beginning of each end step, and if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, I can put a quest counter on it. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if Bloodchief Ascension has 3 or more quest counters on it, I may have that player lose 2 life. If you do, I gain 2 life. And then we're going to pay 4. You're going to get this Talisman, Jim.
Sweet.
And I'm going to flash in the One Ring.
The precious.
We know what the One Ring does, but I'll read it anyway. It's indestructible, of course. When it ETBs, I gain protection from everything until my next turn. At the beginning of my upkeep, I lose 1 life for each burden counter on the One Ring, and I can tap it, put a burden counter on it, and then draw a card for each burden counter on the One Ring. But that is my second spell for the turn. So that means that Saruman is going to trigger, and Ledger Shredder is going to trigger. Let's do the Ledger Shredder first. It's my only card, so we'll just put this Esper Sentinel straight to the graveyard and grow it. And now, Saruman triggers. Would you all please mill 2?
All right, so I'm going to mill over a Mizium Mortars, which is probably not good, and a Wasteland.
All right, I've got the Fracture I really wanted and a Yawgmoth.
I've got Teferi Temporal Pilgrim and Ulamog.
Okay, so because One Ring was my second spell for turn, and I'm glad I sequenced that right, I'm going to exile Fracture, and I am going to cast it for free, and I'm going to hit the All-Seed. So.
Yeah.
In response, I'm going to sack it and give Amalia protection from white.
Okay, now, your Goblin Treasure Seeker thing trigger happens. You get the Talisman, and One Ring touches the board. I am pro everything. Go ahead.
And then when these hit the graveyard, Ulamog's going to shuffle my graveyard in my library. Yes, that was an Ulamog, which is not a bad card, but I never intend to cast it ever. The reason it's in here, because Joe Grant can cycle it, and then that shuffles my graveyard back into my library, enabling the New Perspectives win.
I'm going to go ahead and play a Plains, and then I'm going to be really, really excited about my top deck, because we're going to go ahead and play Lurrus of the Dream Den. It's a 3/2 with lifelink, and during my turn, I can cast 1 permanent from my graveyard with mana value 2 or less from my graveyard. Thankfully, there's one of those in the graveyard now. I will go ahead and get to gain a life from my Soul's Attendant, and that life gain will trigger the Elenda and the Amalia, and we're going to flip a Carmen Cruel Sky Marcher. That's a decent ability. I'll leave it on top and get a counter onto Amalia. So I think I might be able to kill someone with commander damage, huh? I will, for 1 mana, use Lurrus to recast the All Seed, which will also do the thing, gain me a life, and get some more counters. We're going to go up to 13 on Elenda and 14 onto Amalia, because we already know it's on top.
So that's your second spell for the turn. Ledger Shredder is going to connive. I am hellbent, so we're just going to put this Sorceress Squall straight into the graveyard. Grow the Ledger Shredder. I wish I'd activated the One Ring with the connive trigger on the stack, so I would have something to discard other than that Sorceress Squall. This game would be so different right now if I had that to play.
Veggie, are you going to keep attacking me with your commander?
I mean, looking at the board, is my answer going to stop you from swinging me anyway?
Yes, it will. It certainly will. No more Skrelv damage with your commander.
Okay.
Cool. So you're only going to get these little 2 guys for lifelink. And Jim coming in with the 16/16. Big lady. She thick.
Chief's going to step under the bus.
All right. Under the bus it goes. I'll gain 2 and get to run it back and go to 16 and 15. Ooh, this is going to blow up soon. That'll do it. I'll pass the turn.
Well, on your end step, because Veggie lost 2 or more life this turn, I get to put a quest counter on Bloodchief Ascension.
Also, at the end of your turn, I'm going to pay 1 for a Dirty Enlightened Tutor. I'm going to search for an artifact or enchantment and put it on the top of my library. I'm going to find Fluctuator. It's an artifact for 2 that makes all my cycling abilities cost 2 less.
That card only does bad things.
It only does bad things.
Yeah.
Great, I can do nothing for less mana. I'm going to go to untap. And we're going to figure out how this is going to work. Oh, you steal my signet if I tap it.
No, not me. The treasure nabber. Don't look at me. I'm not taking your stuff. I can't control it. It's just in play. I don't want your stuff. He wants your stuff. Don't hate goblins who are just doing what they're supposed to do. They have jobs and they do them, you know?
Joblins.
Joblins. Exactly.
You know what? Then I don't want him to become unemployed, so I'll tap 2. You can take this Arcane Signet. I'm going to play my Fluctuator.
Do you want to play it tap?
So now I'm going to tap it, and my cycling abilities cost 2 less.
Drat. Next time, Gadget.
Pass?
On your end step, we're going to tap the One Ring.
Are you tapping it for mana?
I'm not tapping it for mana.
Sorry, buddy. I do a good Golem. My son, he just loves the Golem voice for some reason, and I'll just like crawl around the house doing the Goblin voice. The Golem voice, and he loves it. And then we watched Lord of the Rings, and he was like, when Gollum came on, he was like, "It's that dad."
Wait, so he knew the Gollum voice before seeing Gollum?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
So I did the Gollum voice, and Airball hasn't seen Lord of the Rings. And he was just like, "What is wrong with you?"
What are you doing?
I read the first page of Fellowship when my dad bought all 3 for me as a kid, and I made it to the point where he says 11, and I was out. I was like, no, we're not making up numbers here. This is not for me. I'm done. So, sound off in the comments on me there.
Yeah, screw
Get
you,
him.
Shakespeare.
Get him, YouTube.
I'm no longer pro everything. I'm going to take 1 from my One Ring. Then I'll draw my card for turn.
Wow, I made it farther than you. I think I got to the part where halfway through a full page of describing an apple, then I gave up, which was like page 3, but like...
Really good page 3, I guess.
Listen, YouTube, I've read Lord of the Rings, all right? It's my favorite audiobook on long car rides. I've read it multiple times. I'm there for you.
I've also paid my nerd tax. I read all 3 books and The Hobbit. So
The Silmarillion's too much, though. I don't play like that.
I'm a movie nerd of it, but I could not read about that apple anymore.
it goes on for a while.
Yeah.
Yes, halfway through 2 towers, they stop talking about the apple and start getting back to the story a little bit.
You don't think it's part of the core of the story?
Oh my God, stop.
All right. I'm going to tap the 1 ring to put a burden counter on it and draw 2 cards.
Are you sure you don't want to tap it for mana?
Yeah, I mean, it's still an option.
I'm
maybe.
pretty sure that I do not want to tap it for mana. And I'm also pretty sure that I do not want to shock myself anymore. So this Hollowed Fountain is going to come in tapped.
That's just... If you got a thing, you got to stick to it.
Right.
You know?
All right, fine. Okay, yeah, you know what? Here, we'll shock in the Hollowed Fountain.
That worked.
You got it.
Wow.
Pass.
Let's untap. We got this Mana Vault here, which I am not going to untap. So I will untap these lovely Mana Rocks, though. Thank you for that. And I will take 1 damage off of the Vault and draw. I'm going to tap, and we're going to put the Skull Clamp onto myself again. Brought to you. All right, so I'm going to play a land for a turn. It's going to be a Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. This is a legendary land, taps for a colorless. I can pay 2, tap it, and choose a color, and I add mana of that color equal to my devotion. 6 red devotion right now. I'll cast the Soul Ring, and it's going to come in untapped. You can have your creature.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
All right, we're going to gain a life. We're going to explore 1 more, and she explodes, and we're going to go to 16.
All right, I'm going to play a Jeweled Lotus, and I will choose to have it enter untapped.
Oh, boy.
Well, Ledger Shredder will connive first. Well, I don't think Born Upon the Wind is going to do very much for me in this game, so connive up. Go ahead.
So we're going to get a token. So I'll gain the life. Oop. And we're going to go 17 and 18.
She's become too thick.
And now that Amalia has 20 power, I destroy all other creatures if its power is exactly 20. So we are indeed going to destroy all other creatures.
Okay, so with that ability, I'm a stack. I'm going to tap Soul Ring, and I'll tap my Nykthos. I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red mana. So we got cute little red mana token. I'm going to use red mana. I'm going to activate my Goblin Tinkerer, which is going to destroy target artifact. I'll destroy the Soul Ring.
That's rude.
All right, so resolves.
I'm also going to sack the All Seed and give Amalia Pro Red this turn before I scoop it all up.
Sure.
I don't know if the table really fully realizes it yet, but my plan is to hide this Muxus under my champion, so when things do blow up, I get to Muxus again onto the empty board. There's some tokens to worry about, but we'll try and figure that one out later. All right, so these goblins all die. That's going to go into the bin. That's going to trigger the champion effect, which is going to return the Muxus to the battlefield. All right, so Mux trigger, we get Dockside Extortion. Is that one good? Is that... I don't play commanders. I don't know if it's Shinka, the Bloodsoaked Keep, Remenab Ruins, a Mountain, Krenko Tin Street Kingpin, and a Mountain. All right, so these go on the bottom. And we get Dockside Extortionist and ETBs. Create X treasure tokens where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. And then Krenko is a 1/2 for 3. Whenever it attacks, it gets bigger and makes goblin tokens equal to its power. Sweet. Let's get a count.
0.
1.
3, so 4 total.
So 4 treasures, okay.
Per my brand, I have never seen that card before.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yes, given the state of things. All right, let's tap Strip Mine and use one of the mana and play a Runvelt Horde Master, which is a 1/1 goblin for 2. It's a Lord, pumps all the goblins, and then whenever it or another goblin I control dies, I exile the top card of my library. If it's a goblin creature card, I may cast it until the end of my next turn. Now we're going to cast a Goblin Surgeon. This is a 1 mana 0/2. This is to pay 0 mana, sacrifice a goblin to regenerate target creature. I'm going to spend a mana and put Skull Clamp onto Muxus. Sacrifice Muxus to the Goblin Surgeon to regenerate my Krenko. I'm going to draw 2 cards off Skull Clamp. I'm going to exile a card off Horde Master. And this is going to go in the command zone. So let's exile a card for Horde Master. Exile a Goblin Bushwhacker. That's a pretty fun one to exile. And then we're going to draw 2 off Skull Clamp. 1, 2. All right, so we're going to use 3 mana here. So no mana floating. That's 3. 4, 5, 6 on the Lotus. And then 7, 8. And then we're going to cast a Muxus from the command zone.
What? Oh, no.
This is Muxus at its finest, kind of abusing the commander rule where you can sacrifice it to an effect and then cast it again in the same turn to just totally flood the board with goblins and go nuts. And then we'll trigger Muxus again. So we got a mountain. If I had the soundboard, I would drum roll. Path of Ancestry. Brightstone Ritual. Goblin Matron, that's a goblin. Conspicuous Snoop, that's a goblin. And a mountain. Alright, so non-goblins go to the bottom. The Matron ETBs, and I can search my library for a goblin. And the Snoop reveals top card of my library. I may cast goblins from the top, and then it has the activated ability of all goblins on top of my deck. This is going to be revealed before the Matron trigger goes in the stack. Top card is a banner, and then I guess I'm going to resolve my Matron trigger. Nerd Girl, you have 17 1/1s, is that correct?
Correct, with a lifelink.
So, all right, I'm going to get a Goblin Chain Whirler.
Oh,
So,
well, it's on top of your deck, right?
oh no, Matron goes to hand. The Snoop can play things from the top.
Yeah, so either way.
Goblin Chain Whirler is an awful card. I feel like I have to make a deal with the goblins so that way I can keep my army around, because without it, I don't think I can recover on the board. I can't even bargain, but I will say if you Goblin Chain Whirler, I will kill you.
Did you reveal Rogue's Passage earlier to an Explorer?
I might have.
Okay. I think I probably should have remembered. So you're saying that if I do not cast Goblin Chain Whirler, you will not kill me with Amalia next turn.
That's not quite what she said.
Okay, then, let's clarify the legalese here. What was the offer made to me?
Correct. I will not kill you with Amalia next turn.
Or by any other means?
Sure.
Sure has been called. Okay. I'm going to use 2 treasures. Cast Goblin Bushwhacker with Kicker.
Kick it.
So this gives all of my my creatures +1/+0 and haste till end of turn since it's been kicked. And so all my things have +1/+0 and haste. And I'm going to move to my combat step. Pick up the boys here. And this is the part of Commander I'm very bad at. This is the doling out damage, sort of like, well, who do I attack or what do I... we've made this tenuous alliance now for a turn, but... All right. But I have to attack. My instinct as a Magic player forces me to attack nonstop. So...
You're playing goblins.
I know, right? I didn't come to that attack. So Muxus and Bushwhacker will attack you, Airball, and then everyone else will attack Veggie. I have an attack trigger on my Krenko. It's going to get a counter. And then I'm going to get goblins equal to its power. So right now it is 1, 2, 3 from this, 4 from this power. So 4 power totals. I get 4 goblins. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming untapped and not attacking. And then I'll stack it so these happen first, I guess. So we'll count these. So we have 4, 5 from Bushwhacker, 6 from Horde Master, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17. 17 power Muxus.
I really, really wanted to save this for Nerd Girl's turn, but I can't take that much damage. With the Muxus trigger on the stack, I am going to cast Yahenni's Expertise. All creatures get -3/-3 till end of turn, and you may cast this card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost.
Oh, no.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna have 11 Horde Master triggers.
And I'm going to put this sad Arcane Signet into play.
All right, so these all die. Muxus is still here. I'm gonna resolve my 11 Horde Master triggers.
Yeah.
Cool. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So every goblin in here, which is these, are cards that I can cast. They're exiled, and I can cast them until the end of my next turn. So
Holy
these will
crap.
all go over into exile. I'll put them over here. And until the end of my next turn, they can be cast. And I believe Muxus is still coming at you. So you end up taking 1 damage overall from Muxus.
1 commander.
It's gonna poke you.
Goblin Shiv.
That was a pretty crazy turn.
And it worked out really good for you. You lost your stuff either way, and I can't kill you.
That is true. So I am immune from Amalia next turn. I have the 1 run on Amalia next turn. So I need to play a blocker.
So lucky.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that was a turn. I'll pass. And then these are going to return to their owners. So let's do.
Gimme.
Right. Tap.
They
right?
were.
They come back tap. Yes.
All right, I will play this Rogue's Passage. It lets me tap it and 4 mana to make a creature I control can't be blocked.
I mean, that just puts me dead to the One Ring.
That's not a bad idea. I'm going to go ahead and cast a Cruel Celebrant.
Oh, thank God I got that board clear first.
She's a 1/2 vampire that says, whenever another creature or planeswalker I control dies, each opponent loses a life and I gain 1. And I think it is very fitting. I'm not going to leave this damage on the board. So, Airball. 20 Amalia damage.
But what if you didn't?
I might not, but you killed all my armies, so now I'm gonna.
For your brand to work, you should be attacking
Attack
Veggie,
Veggie.
right? So I'll take 20, Commander,
Correct.
and put myself in jeopardy to the One Ring.
So I'll go ahead and just protect you, Airball, from dying from your 1 ring, because I'm pretty sure I can remove it.
It is indestructible.
You can exile Indestructible, right?
Yeah.
Last time I checked. So let's go ahead and cast Ajani, Strength of the Pride.
Oh, Christ.
So we'll get to the 0 ability in a second, but it is a 5 loyalty planeswalker that says I can plus it to gain life equal to the number of creatures I control, plus the number of planeswalkers. I can -2 to make an Ajani that gains +1/+1 counter whenever I gain life, or I can -0. If I have at least 15 more life than my starting life total, I get to exile Ajani and each artifact and creature my opponents control. So I will go ahead and just use the 0 ability. So your 1 ring you're welcome.
That's pretty good. All right. So all artifacts, all creatures, right?
Yep, all artifacts, all creatures, and Ajani himself is also exiled.
This Johnny Ultimate is not good because not only did it kill all my goblins, which is, kind of whatever, but it killed all my mana rocks too. So now my Soul Ring is gone. A lot of my mana is gone. I'm down to 4 mana and Muxus costs 10. So the rebuild is a little further away and we're kind of back to a really normal game now.
Veggie, your turn.
Pass.
Oh, no, Veggie.
All right, I'll go to my upkeep and not die.
You're welcome.
Thank you, I think. Play a swamp and pass.
All right, so let's draw. All right, so I'm gonna look over my goblins here I have on exile from Runvelt Hordemaster. These are all playable until the end of a turn, but then they would die. Obviously can't play all of them, but I think we have a little bit of a plan here. Would you like to negotiate another not kill me and then I'll leave your road passage alone?
No,
Gotta ask.
I'm okay. Thanks.
All right, I'll play a mountain, and I guess I'm gonna cast my Legion Warboss. So Legion Warboss is a 2/2 for 3. He's well going to exile without being cast anymore. It has Mentor. Whenever it attacks, I can buff up a smaller creature, and then every combat step I get a 1/1 haste goblin that must attack. I will move to my combat step and get my haste goblin, and leave it on the edge here. Airball, you're going to go to 1. Just like, yes, I want to have some impact on the game. Attacking 28-27 is just like not that exciting.
Yeah, proportionately, it's...
Right. It's like a huge, it's a big deal for this guy, right? It's just a little goblin token. He wants to grow up and be a big boy someday.
He wants to grow up and wear pants.
Yeah. Yes. He endeavors to one day hopefully wear pants. And then I guess I'm going to strip mine the Rogue's Passage. And then I'm going to somewhat sadly end my turn. So, want to get my Goblin here to do something. Puts Airball down to 1. It kind of passes the buck, all right? I didn't kill Airball, but now NerdGirl can kill Airball, and she's the bad guy, and I'm not.
Now that Rogue's Passage is gone, I don't know how I'm going to get through this infinite army of 1/1s, but we're going to have to find a way. This is the sad.
Oh, yeah, it's awful for you.
Yeah, it's looking real bad.
Does Airball have play? Or should I just put Airball out of his misery?
Is this like an existential question or like...
I feel like you don't have an answer. So we're going to just go straight to combat. We're going to go Amalia to Jim and Cruel Celebrant to Airball. I'll put you out of your misery if I can.
No blocks.
Legion Warboss will block Amalia. Sorry, bud.
Okay. No effects. I'm dead. I have died an awful lot to Amalia playing a bunch of Pioneer, but this one hits a little different. Turns out she doesn't need her best friend Wildgrowth Walker to be any good.
Pass.
The end of your turn, I'm going to pay 2, and I'm going to cycle. Countervailing Winds.
You didn't want to do that, and look for a way to keep me alive?
They don't exist because the only things for 1 mana that can stop this are good cards, and they are not in the stack.
Right. Forgot who I was talking to.
I will play a Rustvale Bridge. Comes into play tapped. I'll pass the turn.
Nailed it.
It's a long shot, but don't forget, my deck only needs 2 cards to win, and one of them is in the command zone. Jim has taken all of NerdGirl's attention and kind of stalled her out because he's always got blockers. So I'm just going to sit here and try and draw into my out.
All right, untap. And I'm going to draw. Play another wonderful white-bordered mountain here. And then we're in the Abyss. Need to block every turn. Just going to keep on keeping on. I'm going to play an Impact Tremors. 2-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature ETBs under my control, I deal 1 damage to each opponent. And then I'm going to tap 3 and play a Fable of the Mirror Breaker, which is a 3-mana enchantment. It's a saga. Tap through 1, I make a 2/2 token that attacks and makes treasures, which is right there. Boop. Chapter 2, discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards. Chapter 3, it flips over into a creature that can copy things, which is pretty cool. And then 1 damage to the table for me entering the battlefield. And no attacks. Just going to pass.
Okay, let's see if I can find a way to kill Jim.
Why me?
Look at my setup. She knows that she can't kill me, so...
You are well defended over there.
Yeah, NerdGirl's going to settle for second.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can't kill you, unfortunately.
Sweet.
But I want to keep your goblins smaller before you can stabilize and do scary things. So we're going to go Amalia to Jim, Cruel Celebrant to Veggie.
I'll declare no blocks.
Okay.
He did half of your entire life totals worth of damage, but now he must block and die.
He never got to wear pants.
Never got to wear pants. He'll never grow up.
I'm going to play a Selfless Spirit, a 2/1 flyer that says I can sacrifice it, and all the creatures I control will gain indestructible till end of turn. And I will pass.
All right. I'm going to untap and draw this card. That is a card I can play. I'm going to pay 4 for Browne Sky Shark Rider, a 3/3, partners with Shabraz, which I'm going to grab in a moment. When you discard a card, I put a +1/+1 counter on Browne, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And then I can pay 1 red to give target shark trample until end of turn. So let me go and find that. So I'm going to put Shabraz the Sky Shark into my hand. And then I'm even going to play this Rivendell, which now comes into play untapped because I control a legendary creature. It can also tap for blue, and it can scry as long as I still have a legendary creature. All right, I've done a thing. I'll pass the turn.
And you're humming over there.
Oh.
All right. Unsap. We're going to draw. Fable's going to go up to Chapter 2. And we'll discard up to 2 and then draw that many cards. I might just not discard any cards. Very off character. I feel like I'm very greedy with this card usually, but that's fine. My cards are good. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to play another fantastic white-bordered mountain. All right. Well, first things first. Let's get frisky here. Goblin token is going to attack you, NerdGirl, and I'm going to get a treasure token.
No blocks.
Okay. Take 2. I'm going to tap 2 and play a Wily Goblin. This is a 1/1 for 2, and I get a treasure when it ETBs. So let's add on to my little treasure pile here. I'm sorry, everyone takes 1 also. And then I'm going to play an Arms Dealer. Everyone takes 1. This is a 3 mana for a 1/1 Goblin. Pay 2, sack a Goblin. Arms Dealer deals 4 damage, target creature. Okay, so everyone's taking their 2 shots in the Tremors. And yeah, I'll pass turn.
All right. I need to find a way around all of your stuff.
Just a few little goblins. Just stinking up the joint, but
All right.
living their lives.
That's a little bit of an answer. Not a great one, but here we are. Authority of the Councils. Creatures my opponents control enter tapped. This would have killed you several turns, the last few turns. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, I gain a life.
All right.
You have a lot of 1/1s.
What's a gathering of goblins called? You know, it's like a flock of geese.
All right.
What's
It's a gaggle of geese.
Gaggle of geese?
Gaggle of goblins.
What's the multiplier, term
For goblin.
goblins?
Horde?
Feels like it should be a gob, but
A gob of goblins? A horde of goblins?
I think it's a horde.
I like gob.
A stink of goblins?
right.
I like that.
Well, either way, all of the goblins are getting all my creatures if I can manage it.
All right, so you have the 1, 2, 2, 1, and the very, very large Amalia, which would kill him with commander damage. I'm at 35. All right, well, Wily Goblin is going to block Amalia. That's going to be my only block.
Proceed.
All right, and then before damage, I'm going to tap my Ruins and sack a treasure. I'm going to sack the Wily Goblin and deal 4 damage to something. And I think it's going to be Veggie. I know. I mean, it feels like it's your deck has to do something, right? Like,
That's where you're wrong.
I'm mildly concerned. And the Spell for Spirits, whatever, and the 1/2s, whatever.
I will make a deal with you.
Ooh, okay. Talk to me. I'm yours.
If you don't kill my thing, I will use my turn to remove Amalia.
Okay, let's not kill your thing then. All right, I guess Cruel Celebrant it is. I'll target to deal 4 damage to Cruel Celebrant.
I will begrudgingly sack the spirit to give my team indestructible, and I will drain and gain. Trigger Amalia. So she'll go to 19. I'll get to explore. It is not a land. I'm going to put this in the bin.
Okay, and then we're going to move to combat damage.
Is it 18?
I will take 1, and the Amalia is blocked, so I go to 33. And
And then I will pass the turn.
I'm interested to see Veggie hold up his end of the bargain.
I can don't worry. I can definitely do it. I just got to figure out which method I'm going to take.
Great. Methods are good.
So you can get in for 53 on your turn, right?
Maybe. I haven't done the math yet because I'm a goblin, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
No goblin math over here, so
Well, all of the goblins come into play tapped.
that is true. That would make it very, very difficult. Every goblin comes in tapped, and there's life for every goblin, so
First, I'll go to combat, and Nerdgirl, I hit you for 3?
I'll take it.
All right. Well, Browne was destined for the bin anyway. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to play Unstable Glyph Bridge. When it enters the battlefield, if I cast it, for each player, choose a creature with power 2 or less that player controls, then destroy all creatures except the chosen ones.
I'll just tap 3 now, and I'll cast Teferi's Protection. Until my next turn, my life total cannot change, and you guys cannot touch any of my permanents as they are phased out.
Veggie, you promised.
Oh.
We made a deal.
Oops.
Oops.
Okay, well, what would you like to keep, Jim?
I'll keep my arms dealer.
Okay, so I'll choose your arms dealer, and I don't have one, so it'll kill Browne. Okay, Pat's turn.
All right. I definitely do not like this authority of the consoles.
It's not there right now.
True. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So my reflection enters untapped, which is pretty cool. I thought that was coming in tapped. I guess you can your life total can't change, so you take 1.
Great.
Off Tremors. Let's just start by casting a pretty sad Goblin Chain Whirler. So I guess everyone take 1, everyone being you, Veggie, and then take another one from the Tremors. And then we're going to Nykthos, and I'm going to cast an old classic, a Goblin Ringleader. I've cast this card quite a few times in my days. This is a 2/2 Goblin for 4. Haste, ETB, look at top 4 cards. You get to keep all goblins into your hand. So let's go here. A little less excited than Muxus, but we get a Battlecry Goblin, a Ruby Medallion, a Cheering Fanatic, and a Perforos. Both Perforos and Ruby Medallion are not goblins. Those will go on the bottom of the library.
These goblins have alligator blood.
The Goblin and Fanatic will go to my hand. I have 1 red mana floating. I'm going to play Castle Emberth, my land, use the Emberth and the red, and cast Cheering Fanatic. Take 1. Cheering Fanatic is a 2/2 for 2. Whenever it attacks, I choose a card name, and spells with that name cost 1 less to cast this turn. And then I'm ready to move to combat. And I guess, Veggie, I mean, we had a deal, and you didn't really go through your side of the deal. Just the arms, though. Just take 1.
Take 1.
And then that's it on my side. I'll pass.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm back. Oh,
I don't like that. That's not a good sound.
That's the you're about to lose the game.
That's a real
God.
bad sound.
oh, you don't have another strip mine, do you?
No. Ugh.
Shizo's Death's Storehouse. I've never played this card before. It taps for a black, and I can also tap a black and target legendary creature gains fear. I know what fear does, and I think it means that Jim is dead.
That was my fear. Yeah. That was yes. I mean, all right. So
No. The answer is no.
you always have to hear of a deal before you say no.
I think I'm safer against Jim, so yeah. Oh, I don't even need to give Amalia fear.
Yeah, this is
Amalia
unlocked.
doesn't have to have fear.
Oh, he's already scared. Don't worry.
Now that Selfless Spirit and Teferi's protection is gone, I'm a little worried about Veggie, and he did mention having multiple ways to kill Amalia, so I think I need to switch it up, stop attacking Jim, and get rid of Veggie first. Veggie, I'm sorry, I'm going to attack you with Amalia.
All right, so I'll declare no blocks.
Okay, so you'll die then.
All I had for you was an Otawara.
Ooh, the reset.
Yeah, but I am dead. There is nothing more on brand than me sitting in the corner, not really doing anything, and then NerdGirl accurately assessing that I am, in fact, the threat and killing me. I was going to bounce Amalia on my turn, resetting that problem, and I think giving me enough time to assemble my combo. I'll tell you how the deck works after the game.
We got a nice hill to climb, boys.
I'll pay 3 life and destroy. I'll cast a Bitter Triumph on the Reflections.
Okay, it's dead.
And then I will pass the turn and see if Jim can get out of it.
All right. This would be definitely a bit of a miracle, I think. So let's untap and draw. And so let's attack with Fanatic and Chain Whirler. And the Fanatic's going to name Muxus whenever attacks, and Muxus costs 1 less this turn.
No blocks.
All right, so take 5. 7, 8, 9. All right, so casting Muxus for 9 mana using our commander decks. And it's going to end the battlefield tapped. So
I'll gain a
you're
life.
gonna gain a life. You lose a life also. So it's a wash on that. And then we're going to resolve our Muxus trigger and hope it is the best of all time.
Before you do that, I'll get the Amalia trigger.
Yep.
Flawless Maneuver. I'll keep it.
All right, Muxus time. Cue a drum roll. We get a Seething Saw, not a Goblin. A Goblin Trashmaster is a pretty good Goblin. A Grenzo Havoc Razor. A War Room. Lincoln Village. Jessica's Bow. That was definitely not the Muxus to end all Muxus. Trashmaster and Grenzo enter the battlefield. Trashmaster is a Goblin Lord that can sack a Goblin to shatter something. That comes in tapped. And then Grenzo is a 2/2 Goblin. Whenever a creature I control does combat damage to a player, choose one. I can go to a creature that player controls or exile a top card of that player's library. On the turn, you may cast that card as though it were any color mana. So that would have been a reason to Muxus before attacking. I was only thinking of haste, so that kind of doesn't work out super good. Takes you gain 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yamali triggers.
Oh, yeah. So Amalia will go up an additional 2.
And that comes in tapped. Also, and I don't think I have any recourse here. Yep, I'm just going to say go.
All right. Hopefully you're dead. I'll draw the Flawless Maneuver. Do I have a reason to cast anything pre-combat? The answer, I believe, is no. So we're going to just give Amalia fear, and we're going to
Now, what if
come in for 24.
you just didn't kill me? Because... Period. That's it. Because
I'm kind of hungry, so I'd like
I'm
to.
kind of hungry too. Actually, you know what? Just kill me.
On brand.
Just
It's on brand.
just kill me.
We got to do it. Yeah, it's on brand.
All right, Amalia got me.
Good game.
Good game. That was a pretty sweet game, honestly. We had to have our huge Muxus turn, and honestly, once we killed the Rogues past, I thought we were in really, really good shape. You know, 2020 is 2020, but Goblins are very, very persistent and can block a lot of times over and over again. And then Shizo Death Storehouse came in and put me in the storehouse. So it's still a really, really cool game. Everyone got to do stuff, except for Veggie, who kind of was just cycling cards, which is weird, but really fun game overall.
All right, so here's how the deck works. Joe Grant gives every card in my hand that's historic cycling. That is the entire deck except for 6 cards. If I play New Perspectives and have 7 cards in hand, it means all of my cycling costs are 0. I will cycle through my entire deck. The Ulamog that you saw will shuffle everything from my graveyard back into my library so I can keep doing it over and over and over again. There's a copy of Solar Blast, which deals a point of damage every time that you cycle it, and a Fractured Sanity, which mills each opponent for 4. That's a win.
I feel like I had the classic commander problem this game. I got off to an absolutely bonkers start, which made me look like the threat, and then I had nothing to back it up with, and I died.
I've had Shizo's Death Storehouse in a number of my decks, but I've never really got to put it to use, so that was really cool to have it top deck the win. I guess the NerdGirl Orzhov value brand is just the best.
Make sure to check out today's feature sponsor, the Kickstarter for the Magali Villeneuve collection.
This collection features 5 pieces of iconic Magic the Gathering art that has been extended to fit premium prints and playmats. My favorite is Area of the Charmed Apple.
And this is only running until March 21st, so make sure to back the Kickstarter by going to the link in the description and the pinned comments before it's all gone. Ultimate Guard is the industry leader in MTG accessories. We use their stuff and we love it, and we know you will too. Make sure to use the link in the description so that they know that we sent you. Moxfield is the best deck list site available. It has everything you need to customize, compare, and collaborate. View and brew the way that works for you. Moxfield is the only way that we can track and share all of our spiciest builds here on the show, and whatever Veggie is playing. Make sure to follow our Moxfield profile in the link in the description. This episode was brought to you by Coolstuffinc, fulfilling all of your sealed product and singles needs.
And today is our final episode with Cool Stuff, so if you would like to get 5% off your order and get that exclusive NerdGirl token, the NerdGirl and Hammy Vampire token, you can use code MNG5 for 5% off your order until the end of the month. We'd like to take a minute to thank our patrons. Without your support, these episodes wouldn't be possible.
And thanks to your recent overwhelming support, we have a big announcement coming to you for the channel on Monday.
So if you would like to become a part of the show and be a part of that announcement, make sure you head on over to our Patreon, unlock exclusive perks like monthly signed tokens, spell table games with us, and even get your deck list played here on the show.
And of course, you can always support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That's all for today. We'll see you next time on
Decked Out.